Wonderful. Streaming on Facebook. So, recording. Okay. Streaming on YouTube from my desktop in this way. And it says I'm live. So I will move with that. And I'm also live on my Facebook business page. Let's see there. And let me open up. So, first of all, welcome. It's been quite some time that I have communicated with my YouTube community, especially. So, a special hello to my YouTube community. So, this is a special live. This is what's special about it. So, I made an announcement yesterday that I'd be going live. Hello to the first person who just joined me on Facebook. That I'd be going live specifically talking about the disparities, hey Merle, in the transformation space. So I have seen the video that you guys have seen. And so what this live is going to be, just so I can notify everyone now so they can know what to expect, is this live is what it is not, because I actually just got off the phone with a client who saw it in a way that other people may even see it. And so let me be clear so you can decide if you would like to stay here or not today. So this here is to talk about what I started talking about last year, which is the environments that are required and necessary for particularly Black people who are transformational leaders and coaches and healers and spiritual, highly spiritual folks, and who do that as a business, to come into sovereignty and power, and the environments that are required and necessary when folks who are literally descendants of high spiritual folks, who are literal descendants of high spiritual classes, who are literal descendants of royalty, who are literal descendants of the creators of science and math and high spirituality, what it takes when they come into an industry like the transformation space, which is currently governed by white people, dominated by, they're making most of the money, they are the dominant voices, they are the dominant leaders, and where the statistics tell us and real world experience tells us that the majority of white people do not have a relationship, an intimate relationship with people of color. And so those same people exist in the transformation space. And so when you, as a descendant of royalty, you as someone who is uniquely powerful and truly powerful, are coming into the reverence of yourself and coming into the power of yourself in under the leadership of a white leader, where most of them in the transformation space are not intimately involved with people of color. When I say intimately involved, I mean they travel together, cook meals for each other. They're close friends who come to each other for comfort and care and to have high level conversations. Most melanin folk in the transformation space are in environments with white people, white leaders in the transformation space, who do not have the capacity or the skill or the willingness to really support them as they come into their sovereignty. And so another conversation that perhaps I'll have at another time is coming into truth about spiritual truth. Right. And now is not the time to go into that. It's a whole other level of depth and height, but coming into spiritual truth about who melanin people are and how much that influences how we show up and have not yet shown up in the transformation space, but it's so necessary and it's so hungry, and so now being the time to come out. So that's what I'm going to be talking about here today. Hello to my YouTube people. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube more. Like, I get people contacting me, emailing me, who found me on YouTube, and it's just high time that I start getting more active on YouTube. So hello, even if you're watching as a replay. Hello, 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 even if you're watching watching as a replay. So let me just tell a little bit about who I am, how this is going to go. I'm going to tell a little bit about who I am. This may be redundant for some of you who already know a bit about who I am. So, but I'm going to share who that is. And then I also have some points that I'm going to go into, some like facts, some data, factual things to really start to create some context here so you can understand where this is coming from. And what I also encourage you to do is to comment and to engage with me, because I am aware that there are levels to this in the transformation space, and you sharing your experience helps me to also see your level and how I can possibly speak to your level, because there are levels here in growth. So who am I? I am Master Naima, and I have been here in the transformation industry since 2011, to be exact. I sold my first group coaching program in 2000, at the end of 2011, and I started private coaching at the end of 2011. And I, like many, coaches and leaders and, folks who come into the industry, I struggled quite a bit. Let me open up some notes here. Struggled quite a bit because, in this industry, it's really all about you. It's really all about growth. And so there was so much growth that was required on my part. And so I'd say from like 2011 to 2013, I made money, but it was always this feast or famine thing. It was just, first of all, even the lack of awareness that there was such thing as a relationship with money. So I went through that, and in 2013 started praying a lot and went into a deep depression. And there's so many stories in here that I'm not going to tell, because this is not to go into all of my stories. It's just to give you some background into, and this is short background into who I am and how I came to this. But started to understand that there's an actual relationship with money that requires being worked just like any other muscle. And so I started doing that work. First of all, shadow work. I started doing a lot of shadow work at the end of 2013. And then in doing that work and then getting serious about service and money. A lot of us are bleeding with our hearts, and we so want to serve and help. And yet we are, got 50 cents in our bank account. And so I got real clear that it was important that in order to serve, it was important for me to make money as equally important in receiving money for the service that I was giving out. So I got really good with that and went from $7 in my bank account and sleeping on my mother's couch to multiple six figures in 2 years, and then crossing the 7-figure mark in under 4 years. And to take it back, in 2012 was when I first started noticing the color disparity. So I'm born and raised in San Francisco. In 2012, I was very much involved in a lot of the goddess circles, business circles, social circles in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I started to question, like, where are the Black people? That's a thing, right? You travel somewhere as a Black person or any person of color, particularly Black people, and you're like, where are the Black people? You travel to Europe, you're like, where do the Black people go? You're like, you want to see yourself out there in the world. And so I started to ask them, like, where are the Black people? And for the few Black women I would meet, I'd be like, well, sometimes you'll see some of us over here, sometimes you'll see, right? But the resounding reality was that we were definitely few, very, very few. We were, hi, Zelma. We were definitely not prominent. We were not the common face anywhere. And we were most certainly not the ones doing multiple 6 figures, 7 figures in our coaching and transformational business. And so at the time, I was in a goddess community called Tribal Truth. Maybe some of you have heard about it. Tanya Truth. At the time, it was led by Tanya Peluso. And I'm going to be naming names here too today. I'm going to be naming names of coaches that I've worked with or had conversations with to help demonstrate two things. One, why I've even been able to create, because one of the things that's important for me to get at here is how and why the disparities exist in the transformation space, how it got like this. How is it, aside from the fact that its roots are white, right? Like the godfathers of transformation, you got your Jim Rohns and your Zig Ziglars, and, they're teachers and mentors and trainers, and just the folks who offsprung from their teachings. Tony Robbins is an offspring from those teachings. When I first came into personal growth, Jim Rohn was the name that was thrown around in the spaces I was in, and Zig Ziglar. And the only Black name at that time was what? Les Brown, right? And he's still very much a prominent name. But anyway, so I'm going to be naming names for that reason. So anyway, 2012, I was in this Bay Area and a lot of the white, goddess circles, social circles, business circles. And I started to become bothered, not greatly, but bothered by the fact that there was a lack of color. And I remember leaving those spaces because of that, the lack of color, and also the kind of growth that I was looking for in business I had yet to find. And so when I, in 2013, I came into, 2013 is when I learned of Fabian Fredrickson. Some of you may know of Fabian Fredrickson. And this is where it starts right here, because this point is really, really important. And let me start by saying this. In the world of coaching, the people who win, hear me out. Remember, I've been around since 2011. I have struggled to, sell a $700 a month thing, or, I've been the person who has, spent 2 hours on the phone with the person coaching and helping and hoping they would sign up in the end and they not sign up. I've done all that. Hi, Donna. I have been the person who spoke on a bunch of stages and gave away a bunch of free stuff, done a bunch of free calls. I've hired so many coaches over the years. I've seen it, you guys. I have been in coaching communities and groups and programs where I am the only Black person or one of 2 or 3. I've never been in a coaching program where there's been lots of Black people. But what I've experienced a lot, and I've seen a lot. And this experience that I'm getting ready to share is to start to help you see the disparities for those of you who are Black, and you already know this, and for those of you who are not Black and you're white and you're wanting to understand, even if you've questioned the lack of people of color in your programs, and want to understand what you can do if you even care, right? This is not about asking white people to let you into their programs, or white people you have to, if it's not a genuine, heartfelt thing, But I'm going to get at it because it's a matter. It matters. So I learned of Fabian Fredrickson, and at the time she was on a tour, and she went to LA on her tour. By the way, Fabian Fredrickson, for those of you who don't know, she's been in the coaching space for 20 years. She's multiple 7 figures. She currently lives in Paris with her family, and she's well known. So many of you probably know who I'm talking about. And she, came to LA, and I flew down to LA from San Francisco, and she did her thing, right? And I could see the racism. I could see, for Black people, we know racism. We see it, we feel it, we just know it, right? And I'm not going to argue about the validity and facts of anything, but I could just see, right? And I remember she offered at that event for people to enroll for her Monetize Your Message event, which was happening in Orlando, Florida. And I remember at the time, I could see that she was a woman who was not well rehearsed or even had a care to have people of color in her program. And at the same time, I could see the value in which she was offering. So this alone, okay, as a Black person who has a desire to transform and is relatively new. Remember, this is 2013 that I'm finding out about her. Relatively new, to the transformation world, and growing, really growing into bigger numbers and becoming more. And so I remember being at this event. It was at, I think, the Westin Hotel in Los Angeles. And I remember the event was over, but there was wine and appetizers and socializing. And I remember struggling, going in the corner, Naima, are you going to do this? And you already can sort of sense that you're not going to be as welcome here, but gosh, she has something that could help you. That fight right there, that mental fight is very much a Black thing. Like, talk to me in the comments. I see 5 people here with me now on Facebook. If you get what it is that I'm talking about, let me know in the comments. If you relate or get anything that I'm talking about, let me know in the comments, okay? And let other people know that, one, there's more of us, right? And I can perhaps speak to it. Right? I can perhaps speak to that experience. So I remember just the struggle in my head, right? Of like, gosh, am I going to do this? I'm like, right, putting myself in this environment where I'm not particularly welcome. And so I decided, yes, I am going to sign up, right? So I signed up for this to go to her event in Orlando. And I remember it was her and 2 other women talking. And I went over to their little group, right? And I just stood there and just sort of waited for to be in the conversation. So Fabian like released them, and then I was like, so I just signed. I told her, I said, so I just signed up to come to your event, and she was like, okay, like like so no big deal. So what? And I brushed that off. Like, just imagine the kind of like the requirement of me to constantly have to push aside this reality that I'm not welcome, that I'm not particularly welcome. I'm not Fabian's ideal client. Like, she talked about her ideal client. Her ideal client was this white, married, like Connecticut-ish, because that's where she lived for a while, was Connecticut. It was Connecticut-ish woman, mother, who was a certain income level, who was a certain look, who was a certain mindset. And I'm not her avatar. I'm not her ideal client. And so I was coming in with my own thoughts of, well, I'm here, I see something of value here, and I'm going to do the work of looking beyond the racism and me not necessarily belonging to go for what it is that I'm after. Now, this is a problem, right? And the problem, what makes it a problem? The fact that it just exists, and it's like, well, that's what it is, Naima. You should have just not signed up, go find another coach, etc. Well, maybe I could have, but I didn't know of any other coaches, frankly. Well, I knew of other ones, but not any ones that I felt like could help me in the direction that I was looking to go and grow in my business, right? But then there's also the fact that the others that are out there, they might not portray and have the same attitude as Fabian, but their lived experience leaves them ill-equipped to deal with what I'm getting ready to go on and talk about: a Black leader coming into sovereignty of melanin, the sovereignty, the high spirituality of melanin. So, hey, Ro just joined over on Facebook, and here on YouTube, just know you can comment too. There's a live chat here, and you are welcome to comment. I'm very happy to hear your thoughts, because where I'm going with this is what's required, an experience that I had. I'm going to be here a while. So if you have to go, fine, but come back and look at the replay, because I learned a lot about the deep, deep power that's inside of melanin transformational leaders. The deep power that most white transformational leaders cannot be with, cannot nurture, cannot call forth, cannot lift you in. This is very much of it's of a nature that they are not experienced with, especially with Black people, because not only do statistics show, but you just look around at what's happening in the transformation space, and you see that so many of them, first of all, don't have Black clients, and the ones who do, so many of them are unwilling and unable to be with the pain and emotion of what's going on right now with their Black clients. And then the fact that the world, like, this is so much bigger than the transformation industry, is so unaware and so blind of the deep reverence and high spirituality by nature that melanin transformational leaders are. For those of us who are called genuinely called and chosen to do this work of restoration, of righteousness, of returning to our highest powers, our natural, like your white transformational leader does not have that skill. Okay. They don't even have that awareness. And they would be highly unique to have that awareness and then have the skill and willingness to nurture that in you. Because in many ways, that would put you in a higher position than them. Okay, I'm going to look at some comments over here. Mashika said, I saw her advertisement, it was good, but I have always felt the disconnect. Yes. And it was good. Like, that's the thing here. I'm going to reiterate this if it's not clear. These are not bad people. These are good people. Okay. I later went on. Okay. So I got a lot of value from, I'm just going to say this to get to the point of, it's not that they're bad or not good. I told you, I decided to sign up for her event because I could see the value. It's just that for those of us who are, I'm telling you now, going to play a bigger game, they are not equipped to hold us and nurture us as we come into the sovereignty. And another reason why this is how I came to this, I'm going to talk about a course I led last year called 5-Figure Clients from Melanin Messengers. Powerful. 5-Figure Clients from Melanin Messengers. And what I experienced with the Black transformational leaders in this program and what is necessary for us to thrive. This is not being discussed. White people can't discuss it. They don't know how to discuss it. They don't know how to see us. Okay. I later went on to enroll in a high-end program with Fabian. And the level of energy that I had to exert to bypass her racism made it not worth it for me. With all the value that she has to offer, the energy that it takes to bypass somebody's racism and look beyond, right, was taking away my ability to focus, my ability to be creative, my ability to be present, because I have to look past things that she says that she doesn't even know she's saying. I have to look past ways of being that she doesn't even recognize she's being. I have to look past all that in this room. I mean, I was literally in Fabian Fredrickson's apartment in her home in Paris with about 20 other white people in one of her high-level programs. So I know what this looks like and feels like. Okay? So Merle says, yes, the sovereignty of being Black and owning my power. So much depth in that. And so not only do white people, right, don't get it, white transformational leaders don't get it, don't have that awareness or skill, but so many Black people, it is so new, right? So let me talk about this course. I want you guys to really get the highness of what it is that you're doing, the highness of the containers that are necessary for you. So before I go into this course experience, I'll say this. You will not win. For those of you who have been around for a while, right? You know what I'm saying, what I'm getting ready to say to be true. The content itself, right? Like the business strategy, like you put together your video strategy, your sales strategy, your social media strategy, all of that is easy. Like you can find that. Business coaches got that all day. You can go to a lot of free offers. You can Google. You can find a lot of things to do, right? So that's the easy part. The real meat and potatoes, the real thing that makes the difference with winning in the transformation space and why so many Black transformational leaders aren't winning is, one, they're in these communities where they're just a paying customer, but they're not really seen in their reverence. That's one. But number two, so many are not in a container at all. And it's always the ones that are inside of a container who win. You've been around, so you already know that you grabbed a bunch of stuff from Google and YouTube and this, 3 steps to fill your email list with hot buyers and, the 7-step process for converting your Instagram followers into clients and your, right? You've been. The missing piece is having the container where you can come and do all the processing that of what comes up when you're in the process of implementing all these strategies, right? And as you're implementing as a Black transformational leader, all the memories of who you really are start to rise. The power of who you are starts to rise. So you start to get these beamings of things, and then you're going to try to bring that to your white transformational leader. Believe me, I've been in these circles. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like. So last year, I was at this place of really, actually, even 2018, right? I was like really burning, right? Really burning to see more because I had created all this success, and because of the stuff that I've done that the average Black person is not going to do. They're not going to bypass, a racist coach, and put forth the effort to, see beyond that, to go in for what they want. They shouldn't have to, first of all. But most Black coaches and transformational leaders are not going to do that. And also, a lot of Black coaches and transformational leaders are don't have an opening to serve and to receive money from people who don't look like them. So hold on. Let me fill this in. Let me fill this in. There's a lot to cover, a lot. And I really hope that you're finding value here. So talk to me in the comments. I got YouTube watchers right now. I got Facebook watchers right now. Let me know your thoughts about what I'm saying, your questions, because I want to fill in any gaps, like questions that you're having, right? I want to fill it in and answer it for something that you have also wondered. So in the 2018, it was this burning to see more. Like, it was like, why am I one of the only one? Because there's, like I said, in the marketing for this, if I sat down and really thought about all the white folks who are in this space making millions, I could, dozens, right? How many Black ones, right? I was talking to Shanda Sumter last year. Shanda Sumter is an 8-figure white blonde coach in the business coaching space. You probably heard of her. She's popular. 8 figures. By the way, 8 figures is 10 million. Okay. She's at the 8-figure level. She's popular. She's well known. She's attractive. She's blonde. She's high energy, all that, right? I had a phone conversation with Shanda last year. And I said, so Shanda, so how many Black transformational leaders who are well paid and famous? She was like, well, I only know Lisa Nichols. At her level, she only knows Lisa Nichols. So, okay, I'm burning to teach this course. I decide I'm going to lead this course, 5-figure clients for Melanin Messengers. It was a 12-week course. The goal was to teach more Black transformational leaders who have messages of change, have a heart to change things, to show them how to come into power with money. Okay. And then obviously some strategy too. Okay. So I think it was March. I could be off on my times, but last year I facilitated this course. Okay. And what I learned, what happened in the course was literally a student had to go to the hospital and get an IV in her arm, and she was coming into her power. And she said to me, she knows because of the work that she's doing in this course that has her having this reaction. Another woman started spitting up mucus and was like, right? She was telling me, and she was living in Arizona at the time. She was going, and Arizona has lots of spiritual places and mountains and lakes and rivers and all that. And she was saying she would go to places and people would just come up to her and wanting to hire her. And it was just all this, wow, like her power was starting to wake up and come out. I had a client whose husband started having, and it was all Black people in this program, okay? Her husband started having issues with her coming into her power, and there started to be this discord at home. And what I realized in that course, in addition to that, so let me talk about that first before I move on, because I learned a lot in facilitating this course, is that the power, Jesus Christ, the deep, deep, deep sovereign power of melanin people is even foreign to them. It is even foreign to them. And that there are levels to coming into one's power. And that fullness of power cannot thrive under the leadership of your average and most white transformational leaders. This is beyond my opinion. This is my experience. I want to hear what you guys have to say about what I just said. I see you on YouTube. I see you on Facebook. What has been your experience coming into your power? Even if, you feel like it's not at the greater degree that I'm talking about here. Before I go any further, I want to hear from you. What's your experience of what I'm talking about? As you're typing, I'll also say this. Another thing that I spoke a bit about, I think it was last year, maybe this year, was that a lot of Black transformational leaders don't have space inside of themselves to serve and to make money from people who don't look like them. There's this thing that we only think we're serving people who look like us. And so even if someone who doesn't look like us, whether they be Indian or white or Latin, comes, mostly white though, mostly white, right? Mostly white, comes to us or is watching us, there's a way that we repel them because we don't have an opening. We're not really open. We don't know this though. I was calling it fear of white money. We know money is not white, right? But I call it fear of white money, which is this fear of being in a leadership position with a lot of white transformational leaders, of being seen as the go-to for white transformational leaders, when in fact, you are the go-to. You are the go-to. I'm so happy to be here on YouTube and see you guys here on YouTube. You're going to be seeing more of me. Oh, and share this video. I meant to say that. Click the notification bell on YouTube so you're notified when I go live. Click that bell, and please share this video. Merle said so much truth to that. So much truth to what? Tell me, I want to hear. So yes, please share this video if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, and click the notification bell so you're notified, because I'm going to be going live more this week and in the weeks to come. Mashika said, I'm not a coach. I have a accounting consulting firm. Most of my clients are white. I feel like they have turned me into a bit of a mother figure. That's very common. Sometimes their total trust is a little overwhelming. Thank you for explaining. You see that? You see that? I'm going to come to you in just a moment, Mathoni, because something is interesting here. I'm getting chills in my brain right now, Mashika. Thank you so much for sharing this. She said, fear of power and leading. She said, turn me into a bit of a mother figure. Sometimes their total trust in us is a little over. And this is why I said the high spirituality. Woo! I'm going to talk about this in another video because it's so honest. It's just so true. And this is why the clients last year in this course were spitting up and having to go to the hospital and stuff, is because there are levels. There are levels to your power. There's like knowing it in your head, right? Then there's coming into power in it in your body with your with your genitals, with your heart and your whole being. and having the space and the time beyond 12 weeks, because this course was 12 weeks, having the time and space beyond 12 weeks to really come into the embodiment of this. You guys, we can literally transform the transformation industry. It is, or any industry. Like Mashika, you could transform the accounting industry, but it's only going to happen when we come from a core embodied place, not from a black versus white, not, any of this, what's going on in the world right now, where there's like a lot of people making it a race thing. This is not about race. This is about high spiritual truth and the sovereignty that you are as a melanin person. The sovereignty of melanin alone, and getting your heart and your body and your mind, your brain in accordance with these high spiritual truths so that you can serve and you can command the money that comes with that service and that embodiment of your sovereignty. Okay? Mashika said, "You have scared me. I didn't even realize all of this until now." You see that? You hear that, YouTube? Mashika just said on Facebook, "You have scared me. I didn't even realize all of this until now." It is so important for us to have a space to move through this fear. Move through it. Who do you know who's talking about this? Who do you know who's talking about this? These high spiritual truths that's speaking to the cells in your body, that's speaking to the blood that's running through your body right now, that has run through your body your entire life. You are going to transform your industry, whether you're here in the transformation space or you're an accountant like Mashika, or you're in some kind of industry. And my focus is the transformation industry. Be clear. My focus is the transformation industry. My desire, and this is not just a mere want, not even want. God said, "The last shall be first." This is not just a cute Instagram quote to sound all philosophical and deep. It's called the restoring of rightness. It's called the universe course correcting itself. This is not my opinion, my hope, my dream. This is the truth. And last year, I was walking down, Murrow, you already heard this. I was in Bali last, and this was after the course. This is toward the very end of the course. And Spirit was like, "Let it go," right? And I was walking down Monkey Forest Road. Monkey Forest Road is a popular street in Bali. And it was like, but why? But so what's going to happen with all the Black people? Like you had me come teach this course, and now you're telling me to let it go? Like, what is this about? And, for those of you who have heard the Spirit of God, right? You're clear that you've heard, and I'm coming to your comments, YouTube. I'm coming. Give me a minute. Okay. The voice of the Almighty Allah said to me clearly, "Let it go, a portal will be opened. Let it go, a portal will be opened." It is safe to say now that that portal has opened. That portal has opened. The illumination has occurred in the transformation industry of the number of people, leaders, white transformational leaders, who cannot and will not be with their Black clients' pain. Marie Forleo, right? We saw it. I saw it. Marie Forleo being dragged because she told her group of 30,000 that we're not talking about that George Floyd stuff in here. You do that at home. You got Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels. I know a woman, Black woman, who went after him because he was saying what he was saying. She was like, unacceptable. The same woman went after Tony Robbins, who's been silent about it. Unacceptable. What are you doing? You got Layla Assad, who's the author of White Supremacy in Me. She's a Black woman, wrote a book called White Supremacy in Me, who she said over the last several days, she's gotten over 70,000 new followers, many of them white, who are coming to her. and they don't even realize how much their white consciousness and their supremacy has them in her DMs. She did a post with a screenshot of all these white people inboxing her, expecting from her, right? And she's telling them, no, this is how this goes here. This is how we do things here, from a sovereign place, because so many in the transformation space and outside of it have zero clue. Not only do they have zero clue, they will fight you as you come into your sovereignty. As a Black person, as a Black transformational leader, they will fight you. They will assault you. They will disagree with you. They will demand that you prove your sovereignty. And that's not your place. So let me look at these comments on YouTube. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Chrissy. Hey, Chrissy. Chrissy said, hi, there are certainly levels and even cycles when coming into one's power, especially as you approach the depth of examining and accepting the truth and power of melanin. It is a lot. Yes, it is. Chris Curry, have we met, Chris? She said, I don't know if that's man or woman, said, it is a lot. It is a lot. It is astounding. So many clients, but I'm talking about Black right now, have run away from this power, have run away from this. Hey, DJ. Chris said, thank you. Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to be live more. YouTube stopped. If you have less than 1,000 followers on YouTube, it doesn't let you go live on your mobile phone. So I'm going live on my desktop, and I just learned that like a month ago that in order to keep going live, I had to do it from my desktop. There are levels to expansion. Okay, you catch the replay. Okay, got it. Muthoni, have we met? Glad to have caught you. You're welcome. Yes, it is always about service. Yes, you're welcome. Muthoni said there is a loyalty to race that many of us do not allow for more expansion. There's a loyalty to race that many of us do not allow for more expansion. Like, this is a real thing. Again, please share this video. If you have been finding value here, please right now, share this video, okay? And if you're on YouTube, click the notification bell because I'm going to be coming live more. I don't know what it is about. I really like going live on YouTube. Last year, I went live every weekday for like 3 months, and I really liked it. I liked it when people, came and engaged with me. And then it's always great when people see the video later. So please, yes, share and hit the notification bell. So that was my experience inside of this course. And as a facilitator, what I learned inside of this course, one is that there are true levels when it comes to dealing in the realm of melanin and power, coming into embodying one's power, where it's not just, well, I know. But where your knowing starts to reflect in your behaviors and your choices and where you spend your time, where you invest your money, how you make decisions. And when you really know, your movement, it shows. It just naturally shows. It's sort of like, when you have decided you're breaking up with your guy, there's no question, right? Like, everything starts happening, especially if you're planning the breakup and right, you start putting stuff in place, right? Getting, right, apartment, money, getting things out of people's names, like an escape plan, right? Because you made a decision that this is over. And so you start moving accordingly. So that's that. Now let me look at my notes, because there's some things here in particular that I want to, I think some things are preaching to the choir. One of the things that I think I spoke to about how we even got here, these disparities in numbers where there's white transformational leaders all over the place, but hardly any Black ones. What I asked you to do, because I even started thinking about, okay, Naima, think about this some more. Like, how many Black transformational leaders do you know who are at minimum? When I say Black transformational leaders, I mean who are doing like deep, true transformational work, right? And maybe 6. maybe six, who are at the six-figure level minimum. So that's six-figure all the way up to multiple seven figures. So included in that number is Lisa Nichols, who we all know. Included in that number is Dr. Venus Opal Reese, who some of you may or may not know, right? She's the Black woman millionaire coach who focuses on, healing in order to make money in your business. And then there are some other ones who I'm assuming that they're at the six-figure level just because I see them. I see their power. I see so I'm not sure. The only ones I'm sure of are Venus Opal and Lisa Nichols. So you tell me, you can either type it or you can just think about it right now. How many Black transformational leaders, not ones who are selling like courses on Instagram, growing your Instagram following, or selling courses on, growing your email list, or right, all this businessy stuff. I mean, like, who are working in the realm of true core, deep transformation, healing, right? How many Black ones do you know who are financially successful, meaning they're at six figures or higher, right? Just off the top of your head. How many, right? Then think about how many white transformational leaders you know off the top of your head who are making bank, right? I could go on and 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 on. That's because the root of the industry, I mean, we could take it all the way back to Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. It has always been them, but that doesn't mean it has to be that way. So how do we change this? That's part of like how we're going to change this. How do we change this? This is how. This is how. Now remember, I'm looking at this from the angle of Black people. How do Black people change this? How do we reform the transformation space? Okay. First of all, it's becoming self-aware. So this is what I have observed, and you look at yourself as I'm talking about this, what I've observed from 2011 up till now. And remember, I'm talking just about the transformation industry, right? So if keep that in mind as you may be comparing this to another industry. I'm talking exclusively and only about the transformation industry, where people pay to transform things, okay? So in the transformation industry, one, there's the foundation of it, right? So we look at the root, the foundation of it. And the foundation of it is, it has always been white, right? The godfathers, you look at the godfathers of transformation, and they are the Jim Rohns, the Zig Ziglars, right? And their forefathers, right? So the only person of color in there who's popular. I mean, there's others who are probably unnamed, but the name that most of us are familiar with that's Black is Les Brown, right? He's like the only one, right? So what's up now, right? And like looking at 2011 up till now, what has been the case? So there's the one thing that I already mentioned, where and even I think it was Muthoni who said that there's a loyalty to the race where we don't open ourselves up to make money from others. And I was talking with a woman who actually was one of Fabian Fredericks's client, and Black woman, who talked about she'd be in these environments around all these white women, because Fabian Fredericks and her client base, I would say, is at least 98% white. And how they would, lean into her and, look to her for leadership, or maybe want to hire her in some kind of a way, and how she had a hard time serving them. Sort of like how Mashika talked about, having this full trust in her white clients is overwhelming. Look at yourself, right? How do we start to transform the industry? It starts with us. So we look at ourselves and look at, where am I not allowing? Where do I see myself hitting a wall in being visible, in making money, and who I will and will not out to, who I will and will not comment on, who I will and will not listen to, right? And this is where we start to, hey, Olivia, this is where we start to see what we can create. Because nothing's going to be transformed if we stay the same. It's just not going to transform. And so I even started to look at myself when I would look at the disparity in numbers, and I was so frustrated. It's just like, what? So then, and it's easy to start to like be like, what are you doing? You're right. Because when I wasn't seeing more Black women, like, what's really going on here? And so this is another thing that I came to learn through my research, is that Black women who were raised in the South or raised in high Black demographics, right? DC, Virginia, Houston, New Orleans, Atlanta, Philly, right? All these densely Black places, or maybe their, in their environment, that was their dominant environment when they were coming up. This is the same thing for white people who were raised in predominantly white environments growing up, right? Friends white, teachers white, everybody's white, right? And so when they grow up, they come into the transformation space. They don't even know how, they don't even have an opening. There's nothing in their system that has them able to deal with folks of color. That's for white people, right? And then so for Black people who are around Black people their whole lives, oftentimes there's no opening. So when it comes time to do business, when it comes time to go into collaborative projects, when it comes time to host a summit, when it comes time to have an event or a workshop, when it comes time to, like, who do you go to for solutions to problems, when it comes time to design your website, when it comes time to find out where speaking events are, when it comes time to, right, do all the things, hire an attorney, get some coaching on this. You are looking for somebody who looks like you to offer that. And then when you even miss the people who don't look like you, who have it. But then when you do have an opening to see a white person who can help you in that way, oftentimes they don't have the capacity to help you at all. Then certainly don't have a capacity to help you come into sovereignty as a melanin individual. Is this making sense, right? What's required of us, right? Let me know in the comments if this is making sense. Talk to me. Right now, I got one person on YouTube. I'm not sure who that is, but let me know if this is making sense, right? So I recognize that part of the reason why I was able to create the success that I created is because of my upbringing. I was raised in San Francisco, true diversity. There was no dominant group in my school. There was no dominant group. We had everything. I had friends from Thailand. I had Mexican friends. I had white friends. I had friends from Nepal. I had friends, from where was that? It's a Central American country. I can't think of it right now, but the whole gamut. We didn't talk about race in my house. Obviously, I knew racism existed, right? But it wasn't a reality in my world. I didn't experience racism until I was 20. I attended and graduated from San Jose State, right? And so when I came into the transformation industry, I was already built to deal with a diverse world. So then when I started to research where are the Black women, I started to realize, and in the conversations I was having with Black women, these are Black women who were raised in predominantly Black environments and didn't have openings for people who didn't. And when I say openings, I mean like what they see in the world is like through a Black lens. That's what I mean, right? Like white people who are raised around white people, they see through a white lens, like how they can't, it's like they don't see racism, and you're like, how do you not see racism? They look through a white lens. That's how. Because I've even questioned that. How do you not? They look through a white lens. So this is deep work, you guys. This is deep work. Just like white people have a lot of anti-racist work that they need to do, Black people have a lot of deep introspection and truth telling about why they are the way they are, how they got to the way that they got. So that's one thing, looking at the lens that you look through and how you perceive white people, right? And next, who you are. Oh my God. Oh my God. When you know who you are, you deal with everybody better. I mean, I've even come to this even more, like so acutely in the last year. In the last year, knowing who you are. When you know who you are and you get into a relationship with somebody else who knows who they are, oh my God. And when you know who you are and you get into a relationship with somebody who doesn't know who they are, then you decide how to deal with them, where to place them, that kind of a thing. And so when you know who you are as a melanin individual, as a sovereign individual, for those of you who have it on your head, and I'm going to talk about this later in the week, this is essential. For those of you who have it on your head, for those of you who have been following me and you know about this work of masters that I've been talking about, where you have been called, this is not like, oh, I have a passion to help people, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Passion to help people. I'm looking for freedom. But for those of you who cannot not do your work, okay, who were born highly spiritually intelligent, who know things that are not Googleable and are not in books, that call on your life. I'm the only person of any group, sex, class, race who can help you in that domain. Masters reach masters. So when you're under that, when you're that, you're talking about a whole new level of power and sovereignty. Then you come into a whole other place of what people call playing God. Because so many people don't know who they are. And then you start to see the sovereignty in everybody else. And then you also see the layers of their sovereignty, but you also see the limitations in their sovereignty. I know that sounds like such a paradox to talk about sovereignty and limits, but there are. Not everybody has access to all information that's from the all. I'm going to stop that part of the conversation right there. All right. Let me see if I got some more. All right. So share with me your thoughts. I want to see. I'm getting ready to read. YouTube, let me know your thoughts. Mashika says, I'm a Southerner. Where are you from, girl? I lived in Houston for 4 years, by the way. 4.5 years. Let's see, 26. Yeah. All right. I'm a Southerner. Mashika, tell me where you're from. You are right about the opening yourself to serving. I had to do a lot of mindset work. Yeah, mindset work is definitely a part, and it's just a part. Embodiment is beyond mindset. Embodiment is where there's actual sensation in the body, right? This is how you know you're embodying something when an issue, like for example, I was talking with a client this morning, excuse me, and she used the expression of, a fear of getting her head chopped off, right? For being powerful and stirring up the pot. And I had a fear of being killed for a while. And nobody was like really dealing with it. I heard people mention it here and there, being burned at the stake, and right. I think many of us have heard that, but nobody talked about how to actually annihilate that so you can move. How about that? So you can step into the next level of power. So you're not year after year having the sense that you're powerful and sovereign, but your life and who you're being is not reflecting that in your reality, right? And where was I going with this? Oh, you're from Nashville. Okay. Um, where are we going with that? Power. Mm, I think it had something to do with the fear of being killed. Anyway, it will come up because it's so much a part of this work. Oh, embodiment. That's where it was. Embodiment, where um, she and I were talking about, because she's in her process of embodying, because she has the knowing, like so many of us, that she's powerful, right? But when it comes game time, right? There's a energetically is like that, right? And I gave her this assignment, and it was coming into, first of all, getting really close to her subconscious mind, like this evening and morning thing to get close to the subconscious mind, but also feeling. Remember, I said earlier about embodiment comes through the genitals, it comes through the heart, And so for people who are not sexually empowered, and when I say sexually, I don't mean necessarily even having sex, even though that definitely is a part of it. In the beginning, it's really more so about getting, because embodiment is your full body. It's not like my body, but not my coochie. My body, but not my heart. My body, but not my. It's embodiment, right? So when you are really embodying, oftentimes you'll feel it in your genitals. You'll feel it in your heart. You'll feel sensations in your brain and down your thigh and in your like your right buttocks and right because it's embody, whole body, full body, right? So then it goes from knowing to feeling. Right. And when I say feeling, I don't mean like emotional feeling. I mean like the senses that are through the body, electrical jolts through the body, through the genitals. That's how you know you're coming into full body. Because so many of us are so like we disconnect there. Like you want to disconnect a woman, you go to her heart, you go to her body, you go to her genitals, typically. Heart, body, genitals. Like heart, body, genitals. You start picking at those, collapse. When she strengthens those, and this is why, people are recommended to do Dom work. That's why orgasmic meditation was so powerful. It still is, but why it really dealt with genital, right, awareness, genital sensation, genital power, because there's so much power in the genitals. So when women think that they're somehow good and clean and powerful because they've abstained, right? Or and there's a place for abstinence. I'm not banishing abstinence. I'm saying if it's your, that's not full power, right? I'm talking about full power. Okay. Even in Napoleon Hill book Think and Grow Rich, he talked about the number of men who he talked about sexual transmutation. Remember that in Think and Grow Rich. I can't remember what chapter, but he talked about sexual transmutation and the power that's created and the connection with higher forces that's created through a loving sexual relationship. Not just sex for the sake of sex, but manifestive sex. Okay. All right. So let me get back to what's required of us. Looking at oneself deeply and radically, asking those hard questions and really looking at who you're being in relationship with all beings, even Black people. Like, who are you being with other Black people? What do you expect of Black people? What do you expect of yourself? What are you willing to do? What are you unwilling to do? Right? This is really, really deep. And then for those of you who are currently in coaching programs with white people, conversations that you've avoided having, have them. If you've had a sense that they didn't listen to you or they were quiet about something or they didn't see something, say something. So for example, Shanda Sumter, who I mentioned, this 8-figure coach. Olivia, I see your question. Give me a moment. I'm going to get to that. So I talked about Shanda Sumter. Right? She's an 8-figure coach. I had a conversation with her over the phone last year, and she said to me she doesn't see color. Right? And then there was a Black woman who recommended that I sign up for Shanda's. Well, she didn't recommend. She just praised it, and she was like, "Naima, I think you would love it." Right? And she prayed. And it was her 1% club was the name of this club, and Shanda ended up telling me that my friend who recommended her actually wanted to be in 1% Club, but Shanda and her team were trying to put her in a lower program. Take that in. They were trying to put her in a lower program. And the girl had to fight to be in the higher program. Black woman. You see what I mean? But when you know who you are, you're coming into sovereignty, even good white coaches, right? Good white coaches. Like, I see Shanda. Shanda is amazing. She's wonderful. She's light. She has her relationship with God. She is buoyant and energetic and right. And still, her and her team did not see this Black woman. They mean well. But this is why the transformation industry is stagnant. This is one reason why the transformation industry is stagnant. They're also stagnant for the sheer fact that most people are really not trying to go that deep and transform at a core level. They'll change enough to get enough, but most people are not trying to change at a core level. And I'm about deep core, right? I'm an anomaly. For one, that's one reason that I'm an anomaly. All right. Question. Olivia said, can you talk more about the TLC? What is that? Internal work for Black women, truth, love, truth, love, and commitment. What specifically? Because this could become a long, right? And I'm going to be wrapping up here soon. So ask me a more specific question, please, Olivia, when you say the internal work for Black women, truth, love, and commitment. I'll be happy to answer that question. So who else has questions here? Right now I have 2 people on YouTube. Facebook, what other questions do you guys have here as I wrap this up? So she's thinking, okay. She says, so what I'm putting together here, so this is major, right? So I'm not going to talk about all of it right here, right now. But it is clearly time. And because I led that course last year, I have experience that I had not had before. And that's why God told me to even do that course to begin with, so I could come into the understanding of the fact that there are levels to this. I wish that I could do a 12-week course and take folks from, half-assing it to busting out 5-figure clients. But the enormity of the sovereignty of melanin, the enormity of the sovereignty of people who have a call on their head to do core, deep transformational work in the world, and then acting like it is such a process. It's been a process for me, and I'm right. I'm like a chief leader, right? It's been a process for me, and a big part of the reason why it was a process for me, longer than to be, is because there are no, and maybe Lisa Nichols, maybe Dr. Venus Oprah Reese, they have their own way. But I'm talking about high spiritual truth. That's why I'm going to do a totally whole separate Facebook Live and YouTube on this. High spiritual truth, right? Because like at a core level, I'm deeply available and here to serve masters. And still, I care about Black transformational leaders who are not masters, because I care about more of us showing up in the transformation space. Okay. And so I see this as a great, like introductory, like, right? Because there's levels. So I'm putting together, and I'm calling on you watching me right now. Hi, Aaliyah. I'm calling on those of you watching me right now. Please share this live. Please share this, Aaliyah. And YouTube, share, hit the notification bell. I'm looking for chief leaders to, and like I told my client this morning, you teach what you are ready to learn. You teach what you are ready to learn. And so I'm looking for chief leaders, and I'm going to elaborate on this. Chief leaders to help me serve and market to Black transformational leaders. So one of the things that is so necessary, and there's more to this, and I'll just say a little bit and move on before I talk about the kind of person that I'm looking for, excuse me, is that there's little education about the levels in growth and there's such lack of awareness and an ability and sight. So many people don't have sight. I see people and I see things that nobody else sees, willing to see, unable to see. And respecting, like now I'm only working with people who can see and respect the fact that there are levels and I see things that they can't see and they may never see. That I have insights and wisdom that they don't have and perhaps will never have. Some things you learn through experience, some things you never learn because you're not meant to learn it. That's a truth that so many people don't get. And you may get it or you may not. Like the whole saying of not everything is for everybody is not just a cool saying. It's true. And so it is what I recognize now is that I cannot be the one to work directly with the people doing the deepest, highest work. There needs to be people in between me and the people because people run, people get scared, people, like I said, start throwing up. They got to go to the hospital. They got to, right? And that's not the goal. We're not going to get anywhere if people are running away and they're scared. So I'm looking for chief leaders who are powerful in their own way and have enough maturity around their emotions and they're self-aware of who they are to where we can work together intimately and people can keep their word and people can really show up and do their thing in their vein because they're ordained and meant and available to serve in their way in their vein. That's how we win here, people. That's how we win. Because remember, and I said this yesterday, when Black people win, everybody wins, right? Like it's like us and everybody else, right? When white people win, typically just people who look like them win. Okay. So this is a big game. This is a long game. Like you got to really be in this because something in your heart really calls you to this. Not just because we're in the middle of a big global change and the George Floyd situation. Now that's a catalyst, but that is not the thing that's going to keep you going. The thing that's going to keep you going is that it's from the heart and that you make the commitment to keep going, even when it doesn't feel good, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're angry, even when you want to have a conversation that you're having a hard time having. Okay. So that takes an incredible amount of self awareness, honesty, having uncomfortable conversations, telling the truth, you know? And I'm aware of how difficult that can be, right? I'm talking about this kind of simply, but I know that it can be difficult. Okay. So that's who I'm looking for. For those of you who feel it in your heart to work with me and working directly with Black transformational leaders who are really just made to do this work of change. And in the process of doing this work and serving, you are changed. And you are a part of bringing more Black transformational leaders to the marketplace powerfully and profitably. Right? And for those who ascend through into the domain of master, that's who I'll be working more closely and intimately with. Okay. So let me look at my notes. Now's the time to ask questions because I'm officially getting ready to wrap up. All right. I think I've said everything that I have in my notes. Olivia, yes, that's what I wrote this morning. When we win, everyone wins. I don't have language for my question. Okay, but you're speaking to it. Awareness, I know I have work to do and I'm starting to be visible, but the events are highlighting my miseducation, uneducation, lots of low level thoughts. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, lots of low level. It's lots of low level out there. Um, when you get, I'll say this. I'll say this, and I'm out of here. So, if you have any questions or final thoughts, now would be the time to put it out there. Um, you're welcome, Mashika. You're very welcome. When you come close to me, when I say close to me, I mean beyond just watching me on the video. Um, you're changed for the better. Guaranteed, you're changed for the better. Particularly working together, right? Whether you're coming in working with me as a client, whether you're coming in working with me in some kind of collaborative way. And by the way, inbox me if you see yourself working together in this way or in any way. Like contact me with how you see us working together. Please do. I welcome that with wide open arms. Okay. But when you come close to me, you change for the better. And what's important for me to do And I've had to learn this the hard way over the years with people who I'm collaborating with. Just weird, crazy shit starts happening because I'm treating them like an equal. But spiritually, we're not equal. And I know the ego does not like that. I know some of you guys do not like to hear that. It doesn't feel good to even say that, right? As a master, when I don't operate from this truth, bad things happen. Okay. So, unless you're a master and you walk as a master, then we operate. Until you know you're a master and you walk as a master, I will see you as a master, but I will also place you accordingly, right? And then I also know an actual master by how they behave, not just who talks sovereign and high. A lot of people do that very well. But I mean those who actually walk in it, right? And it just beams off of them. It's in their behavior. And you wake them up out of a deep sleep, they are sovereign, you know? Um, and so I'm saying this so you just know that that's what you can expect for those of you who choose to contact me and to be in relationship with me. And what will happen is you will rise, and whatever is true will reveal itself anyway. Anyway, that's the beauty of this. Whatever is true will reveal itself. No matter if you perform, and whatever is true reveals itself. This is what I've learned, right? And so I do this for spiritual law reasons, not necessarily because I want to. You see what I mean? And so the good thing about this is we all remain, safe, if you will, like, and we get the job done versus me treating you like a master, and energetically it throws things off. So then you're unable to withstand the energy of a master, and then you want to run. You can't stay. You energetically start feeling like you can't, you won't, resistance, because you're not in spiritual alignment. Like it's not true. It's like you trying to be, but you're not actually. You see? So I have to make sure I respect and honor these like invisible rules that are real and that exist, so we can get the job done and you can excel in your position, so that whatever next level is available, that you actually get to it and don't run away. Does that make sense? So just tell me your thoughts before I leave here. Just tell me your thoughts. I'm not going to say much of anything else unless somebody asks a question, but just tell me your thoughts on anything I've said here today, or questions, or tell me your thoughts. Ooh, it's so easy to accidentally close out of on here. You're welcome, Olivia. So there's no way for me to see, or is there? I don't know. Thank you for the hearts. So please remember to share this video. Okay. Inbox me if you see yourself being involved in any kind of way, working, whether it's working with me and serving other Black transformational leaders, or you being one of the ones to be served, which, by the way, we all end up being served in some way, no matter our position. That's one. Number two, I'm going to be back here live. You know what? I'm going to make a decision right now about this. Wednesday. I'm going to be back here live on Wednesday. And I have to decide what's the best topic to discuss, because there's a lot to talk about. But I will be back here Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, Wednesday. Okay. So if you're on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you're notified. Like this video, share it. Thank you so much. And on Facebook, please share this video. Thank you for sticking around, Mashika and Olivia. And for those of you who are watching as a replay, YouTube, please feel welcome to post your questions and share this video. And I will be back here on Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. Yay! I streamed on YouTube. That was cool. Bye, you guys. Bye, YouTube.